Hello, folks. We'll see who gets to pop in first here. At the conclusion of the Blizzard piece. Hi, Annalie. How you doing tonight? And I'm sure Christian and Nydia soon to follow. And Thankful was on a little earlier today. I saw her for a bit. Thank you. Yeah, I originally did that, I think 3 years ago, Annalie, and then touched it up a little. I guess I'll explain what the touch-ups were in a bit. What's up, Christian? Good to see you. I guess it's been a few weeks now, huh? So yeah, I can follow up on how that came about is a few months ago we started to do these events at the studio in downtown Gloucester, the cable station. Hi Lisa, how you doing? And I have a the person I do my live shows with, Heather. We used to do like that morning coffee kind of show. She does her own art series called The Color of Light, and then I have my timeline history series. And we are trying to pair them for double screenings every month. Just to kind of give each of our audiences a um, a bit of a crossover, just a taste of what the other person's series is like, because the art and history thing doesn't actually cross that well here. Art goes over a lot of people's heads, and the history pieces are a lot more accessible just because everyone's got black and white photos or remembers all this stuff. It's hard following the artists here, the artist history. So we started doing these little events there, and it was winter time, so we wanted to do sort of a winter theme piece. And obviously, I had the Flying Santa in December, and then we have the Blizzard of '78 piece. And but I had done it 3 years ago, and when I started doing these documentaries, they were meant to be really short form, really like the original ones were 60 seconds long, and I could get in about 7 bullet points of info, and that was it. And then they got a little longer, like 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, and then we started to let them breathe and try to tell the full story. But what I did in the original iterations of a lot of these stories is I spoke really fast because I was trying to jam things in, and we knew that once a story went more than 2, 3 minutes, 4 minutes long, that we would lose people on social media. Not necessarily not YouTube, but where we were living, so Facebook or Instagram, whatever. So I've been going back to some of these older pieces and revising them. So I tweaked the Flying Santa one a little bit. Didn't add too much time to it, but I was able to edit it, which is what these pieces are also there for too. Is like they can go back and be revised if we get new information or new imagery, um, or we get a fact refuted, whatever it is. So that's the beauty of the series, and it's easy for me to edit. With the Blizzard piece, I think the original was maybe 7.5 minutes long. And all I did was add 2 sentences, but I spoke slower. I redid the whole voiceover and let the pictures linger longer. And it added 4 minutes to the piece, just about. And those little closing credits there were newish too. So what I'm actually doing now is I did two other small pieces years ago. One was on this crazy jewelry heist that happened where I grew up in the Magnolia part of Gloucester in the 1930s. And I believe at the time it was 1934. It was the largest heist in American history, value wise. Um, right around the corner from where I grew up was sort of the heart of the summer resort era when I say between 1880 and 1910. Um, that area sort of blossomed into the summer resort community because people with deep pockets from Boston were starting to go on leisure day trips and vacations, and they would come up the coast to go to the beaches and the fresh air and all that. And tons of grand hotels got built, which and most of them eventually burned to the ground. But so for a while, it was a big summer resort area. And the downtown strip of Magnolia, which is a small street, but it's called Lexington Avenue, literally rivaled New York's Fifth Avenue. Like FAO Schwartz was there, Tiffany's was housed there. It's bizarre to think of it because I grew up there 70s, 80s, 90s, and there was nothing left really. It's definitely not like that Tony town that it was 100 years ago. So I did a piece on this this great American jewel heist at the height of robbery hysteria, like Bonnie and Clyde, the Dillinger Gang, and all that. There was only a few minutes long. I had also done a piece that's even shorter on that Lexington Avenue and what that was like. It housed the what was called the Oceanside Hotel, which was the largest wooden structure and hotel in the Northeast, and I believe the largest hotel east of the Mississippi at that time. It held like 3,000 people per night. It was huge. And then all these dignitaries and statesmen and artists and writers, all the rich and famous would come here. Like everyone from like Louisa May Alcott to Lucille Ball to General MacArthur, Presidents Taft and Roosevelt um, were in the area for a while. Eventually, in the late 50s, that burns down. But there is this moment, I mean, there's this era where it was pretty hoity-toity. And so I revisited this past week both those pieces, and I'm trying to combine them for a presentation at the cable station next month. So I'm redoing the script and putting the two pieces together to make it instead of a 7 minute story, like a 10, 12 minute story. And so that's why I've been doing the new timelines lately. I've just kind of been going back um, and doing some of these stories justice and also updating some of the imagery and stuff too, because I edit and do all these on iMovie, which is very, very amateurish video editing software or hardware since it's built into your Mac. Um, and that's kind of what I like about these pieces, that they're really naive. They're really just sort of moving still pictures for the most part, like Ken Burns style stuff. So they're easy for me to produce and inexpensive, and easy for me to edit. So anyway, that's how the series came about. That's how that Blizzard of 78 piece got revised. And that's kind of what I'm working on now. So I'm going to revise those two other pieces. I actually have the script in front of me. I might do that voiceover tonight, actually, after this, and then have that done in a few weeks. And that we'll throw that on the channel here, of course. And then I've already been hit up from a few places that want me to do timelines this year for them. But things are going to start picking up soon because there's other stuff going on, namely what's going on with the studio. So you can see I'm back upstairs in the kitchen area here. Um, Downstairs, Chris Williams and I started to build the walls, like the facade for the walls down there. And I would say we're like three-quarters done. And we're going to try to finish that other wall. He literally is just had a death in the family today, actually. It wasn't unexpected. So I don't know if that's not going to happen this weekend. But what is happening is we got the lights for the studio. And so my tech guy is coming in, I think, some point this weekend to test the lights, see how we can mount them up to the ceiling there, see if it's enough. And then if it is, then we're good to go because the lights are done, the cameras are there. We can figure out how to do that first broadcast, finish up the room, um, and then Marathon at that point will be close to ready to move that temporary, what's going to be the command center back here over my shoulder. Put that in there and take that temporary bedroom and move that upstairs. So we're almost at that point too. The flooring's done up there, and she's finishing some stuff there. So other than moving the furniture, that should be that. And then I have another artist who I plan on doing shows with downstairs. His name's Stefan Mears. He's amazing, amazing young guy. He has a place here in town called the Art Nook. It's in Rockport, and he's a really good artist and super creative type. So he's actually coming over tomorrow afternoon to check out the space, talk about a couple ideas for programs, see how we can fold him in. And if he sees something he wants to do down there, he's got free range as far as I'm concerned. So we'll see how that goes. So within the next few days, some more progress is going to happen down there and then upstairs here with the house. So that's good. And because Chris Williams is also going to do things with the wall, like painting on the walls down there too. You guys saw the painter's tape he had up there, sort of sketch work. that we'll work on. And so hopefully we can just get the point where the wall is up and I can start staining things, or Chris has his drawings or sketches up on the walls and I can add some color to it if need be. And then I can be testing things while Chris is away and the tech guys aren't around. Because a lot of time here, it's like I can't do anything until those guys come in and perform the next step. So there's a lot to it. The last step would end up being like once we have sort of the command center down, which is we need to have hardware and software equipment to run these shows. So to have all the lights set up, have all the cameras set up, move them robotically, set them for each of the shows, give someone who lives remotely the ability to direct a show. That's the final piece to set up the grander shows. So. That should all fall into place pretty quickly, I would think. We already know what we need for it. So, for example, we have three cameras ready to go downstairs. We may blow that up to five or six somewhere down the line, which is fine. We've got three nice new lights down there. We're going to try to fix them between the joists and see if that works, if we need more or not. If not, we'll be good to go. And then there's the audio bit too, which we have microphones. We might try some different things if we want to have, say, musicians down there and not have everybody clipped up. So that gets kind of tricky too. And then, you throw it all into the pot and that becomes the broadcast on multiple channels. Um, so that's the latest with that stuff tonight. Hey, Nayrod. Hey, Fine and Phoenix. Good to see everybody. Hello, hello, hello. So that's the latest there. So in the meantime, other stuff has been going on. I actually have one of my timeline. There is a church in the center of Gloucester. It's called the Gloucester. It's the Unitarian Universalist Church, but it's a meeting house. So I think it was the original meeting house in the city, and they have big events all the time. And then Saturday night, they're going to actually show a string of my timeline pieces. I think six, seven, or eight of them in a row that I haven't aired publicly yet. And they've been on the TV, but we haven't screened them publicly. So I got to do that Saturday night, and I'm sure I'll just probably introduce the series to folks. And I think I'm just playing them out in one long string with little pauses between each story, and then probably field questions at the end of the night. But it's a 7:30 start on a Saturday night, and there is weather coming. And so I can't believe they're doing it as late as 7:30 because I will say not exactly the spring chicken crowd going to this one. It's not like people are going to watch this and then go out for dinner, out for drinks. Um, so that's kind of tricky, especially if like the weather here has been pretty lousy. So if it's sloppy weather too, they may end up moving that date. But I've just been preparing for that, and then of course the next event in March. So I kind of feel like I'm ahead of the game with a lot of this stuff. I was talking to Meredith about this a couple of days ago. I kind of feel like I've been spinning my tires with the studio. I've shared this with you multiple times. There's literally nothing I can do about finishing the rest of the infrastructure. Like I can build a wall on my own. I can start to throw paint on the wall, but I want Chris Williams to do it. I want Stefan Mears to do it. I want the tech guys to do the tech guys stuff and get it where it needs to be so they can make it as close to turnkey for me as possible. So then I can focus on things like guests and the program and what to do with the content afterwards and get it out through the newsletter and promoting it locally, all that kind of hosty stuff. So that's the latest of mine. Hi, Christina. How are you tonight? Um, so there is that. So I also went away for a little bit too because Meredith had family in Hawaii. And so I went out for a handful of days to kind of help things out and just go over there and be there for a bit. But I think it was just 5 days in total. So that kind of happened spur of the moment. I think I had a couple of days to think about it and then made that trip. So that was nice. It was really beautiful. We were in Maui, but we were in Lahaina, which had been devastated by wildfires a couple of years ago and is not nearly hasn't recovered yet. They're a ways away from that. But it was gorgeous out there. It's a long way to go. 5,000 miles from where I'm at, a little more than that. And I did nonstop flight from Boston to Honolulu, then a little puddle jumper over to Maui, which was that was really nice. And I'm okay with long flights and stuff like that, but that kind of came out of nowhere. That's why I ended up pushing the YouTube thing last week. But things are better. Things are all squared away. We're back here now. And that's that. Meredith was actually out there for another week before I was there, about, and stayed a couple days after or so. Um, so I did that right after the event I had at the studio. I had a screening, and right after that is when this happened. So anyway, just a lot going on, but back in and settled down, and so that's it for that. If you have any questions for me, fire them my way. Otherwise, it's the same thing. Just thanks everyone for your patience and all that. I keep feeling like I'm not giving everyone enough news or showing enough stuff yet. I have been in touch with places like the animal shelter. The food pantry is dying to do something with me. A big step tomorrow is having Stefan the artist, because he's the guy I had in mind to do shows with, or at least he could be the ringleader, to bring in some artists down here too. It's just a pretty crazy, cool art community we have in this neck of the woods. So just want to bounce some ideas around, get him in that space, kind of see what the limitations and capabilities are, and see what comes to mind. So that's exciting. And then other than that, I think that's about it. We had a couple people over for the Super Bowl. Um, Not that would ever really root for Philadelphia sports teams, but kind of happy with how that ended up the other night, although it was a pretty boring game. But that's fine. So that's the latest on my end. I haven't even scrolled through a lot of these comments yet, and I also don't have my glasses on, but I'll try to see what's going on there. I have a great voice for the documentaries. Well, thanks. I know. Yeah, I have to slow those down very deliberately. Like, it takes me a while to kind of get that down. Um, but geez, sometimes I should try to play one of those minute-long pieces. It sounds like I'm speed reading through it all. So it's tough because I do have a bit of an accent. It comes out in spots. I tend to speak in cursive a lot, which is I can combine, two or three words into one sometimes. And then you just don't think of fully enunciating something, pausing for all punctuation, things of that nature. And then also when I'm speaking, I speak very deliberately and slowly, and I pause almost after every sentence, because sometimes you're not exactly sure when you want, say, the background music to rise up or fade out and give it time. So you put all these pregnant pauses in throughout the piece. So I've got a 5-page script tonight, which if I read it straight, I could do it in 5 minutes. But if I breathe and let things go, this could be closer to 15 minutes, probably something like 12 minutes, to give you an idea. And then I take that really long piece, I smooth out all the audio where I'm talking. I listen really closely with headphones to see if I like clack or you can hear some rustling in the background. And I remove all that stuff. And then I drop it in my piece and start putting the pictures in, and then I can let the pictures breathe or not, depending on how long of a piece I have to cover. And then I can go back and work with the music. So the longer a voiceover track that I have to work with, the easier it is for me to do everything else. So the editing really doesn't take that long. And with these pieces, I have a majority of the images. What's good about revising this too is I can go back and take some of the crappy ones out. Um, and there are some of those for those old pieces. Just you end up just finding better stuff. It's really weird. I can work on a piece for months, and sometimes the best images I come up with are what I find the night I'm finishing, just going down a rabbit hole. And yeah, I'm like, where was this thing 2 months ago? So that's the latest. So I'm juggling a couple timelines. I'm supposed to write a couple other big ones. One museum contacted me. I'm supposed to do something for them last summer on the whole summer resort era and how that happened after the Civil War, right up through, say, up about World War II or so. And that would be a big piece. I started that last summer, and then stopped when other stuff was happening. So I may have to revisit that. And then we have a big library here called Sawyer Free Library. It's the crown jewel of the whole city, basically. And they're going under something like a $25 million renovation right now and modernization. And I think they want me to do a timeline either on the library's history or on the whom the library was named after. So we'll see how that shakes out. It's also a big election year here in Gloucester too, for all the local officials. And I know it's going to be at least a two-person race for mayor, maybe three, and they're heavy hitters. So I know I'm covering those elections live, a preliminary election to whittle down three choices to two or whatever it is, four to two. And then, of course, election night. And that's after we do things like the fiesta and, the greasy pole and the horribles parade and the Schooner Festival Labor Day. That summer, I produced something called the Voters Guide, where we break down all the candidates, all the issues, all the procedures for how to vote, where to vote, what happens to the ballot when you cast it. We just try to do all that public access stuff. Um, so that makes for a busy summer. So that's on the docket. So I try to get ahead of that stuff too. And we haven't even talked to like the bridge and all that stuff yet in the studio, which is what I really want to be doing. So it's coming. So it's going to be a pretty fascinating year, I think. A lot of things are going to start falling into place, which is nice. So let's see. Oh, Christian's got to run. All right, see you, buddy. We'll catch up sooner than later. Thank you, Nydia. Da 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 da. You're right, Annalie. Good things do come to those who wait. We've all been waiting, so thank you for that. Yeah, we haven't heard from like old guy in a while. We haven't heard from a lot of regulars in a while, so I worry about that from time to time. But also, I've been really sporadic with this too. Um, and it's tricky because sometimes I have these events and they end up being Wednesday nights or Thursday nights. Oh, I also have another left, right, center night in early March, um, which I'm looking forward to. That's actually selling really well. So that's good news there too. But that's kind of it on my end. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I missed. I should be perfectly fine for next week's show. I should have, well, I'll have progress on the artist front tomorrow for sure. That's going to happen. And then if my tech guy Matt is here at some point this weekend with the lights, that will be squared away. So I'll at least have homework to do after that. Um, so that'll be nice. And then we'll see if we can go and finish the walls. Although like it's just pretty much elbow grease to finish that stuff up. So that's not really a big deal. But it is time to start putting these building blocks in place. So anyway, that's the latest with me. Oh, and then also we'll see how far we are as far as moving this setup either into the office or downstairs back in the studio to show you guys the progress down there. The reason why I haven't been doing these shows back in the studio is we had a lot of lumber out and a lot of tools down there. We're doing some cutting and all that. So it got pretty messy and pretty cluttered. And also because we weren't sure if we were also going to be painting and staining around that work area. So I just tried to get as much as I could out of that space. And I kind of set up here in the kitchen for now. Um, but it doesn't take too much to try to set up back down there again. Um, just not ready for it quite yet. So there should be some more news to share next week. I'll try to think of what I'm doing. I have to finish up the newsletter tonight and get into this voiceover, but I'm trying to think. I think there's one other thing I'm missing on updating you guys about, and it's just slipping my mind right now. Um, hmm, I can't remember. I got to get my head space back into the that project downstairs too, and connect with some new people this week. Oh, that's what I have to do is go through one, two. There's the shelter. Da, da, da. Yeah, yeah, good stuff. So, all right, that is it on my end. Like I said, you could always drop me a line at hello at Bridge Cape Ann or find me on Facebook or something or Instagram, wherever you want to find me. I'll probably change my socials up a little bit when the new studio shows happen. Like I don't know if I'll be on different platforms. Like I'm on Twitter or X. Um, I don't really know if the bridge needs to be on there anymore. I like it because I know who I'm following and why. I don't follow any of the political crap or anything. It's mostly sports stuff or comics or a couple friends. Um, so that I can say that for all the platforms. None of them really bother me, but like I can't stand LinkedIn. I don't like spending much time there. Um, I don't know if we'll end up having a TikTok account for the bridge moving forward. I mean, I can see some positives to it, especially once we have, once we're doing the kind of content that we should be doing down there. So that could get pretty interesting. The big thing is it's going to be running live on YouTube and Facebook, and hopefully it lures some of the Facebook people over to YouTube. Um, and then we'll kind of see where it grows from there. So, in the meantime, oh, and then my website, I got to be finalizing the website stuff too. So once we have an idea with the lights and microphones and all that, we'll start running a couple test shows, and that's going to be with you. There is actually a chance that Saturday we could be live testing things. We actually have done it here and there, and I knew I was going to notify all of you, but there really wasn't anything to see. It was more like literally testing lights against the walls down there, for positioning the cameras differently. We aren't mic'd up, so you're not hearing anything. It's like that. There's no use wasting your time. I think what's going to be better is once we're down there in that space again and sort of ready to go, then I can tap your shoulders or probably give you like a proper walkthrough of all the nooks and crannies down there too. We'll be adding some cool little features down there. So that's probably the next step. But first things first, get my buddy Stefan in here to talk art. Get my buddy Matt in here to get these lights squared away and see if we have what we need. And then, of course, get the amazing Chris Williams back in there too to continue working on those walls. And then, yeah, Marathon and I will be working on this stuff behind us here. And we should have some new looks for you guys to check out. And then I'll go out to all the folks I needed to go out to and start to put these things together. So anyway, we're getting there, guys. That much closer. So unless something big happens, I'll see you all in a week's time. Um, but you never know because I have a big event Saturday, and between Stefan and Matt being here with other work, there could be some good progress to jump onto. And depending on how these events unfold next week too, it might be easier for me to pop on a different day. But just let's pencil in Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern for all of this. So, all right, that's it on my end. Thanks again for your time. Thanks, Wrenches. It's always good to see you. I know Thankful was in there early today. I saw her. She emailed me, or I got a notification from her. So. Good seeing everyone. We'll maybe do a fuller show next Wednesday night with more stuff to report and to show off, and maybe we'll bring in a guest or two as well. So have fun, be safe, stay warm if you need to stay warm. We have more weather coming, I think, tonight and Saturday here in the Northeast. So we got a pretty good one last week. We got about 8 inches of snow. Luckily, it was the light stuff, which we usually don't get here. So I actually was out with a push broom for a lot of it at first, but it piled up fast. So, all right. Thanks for watching the Blizzard of 78 piece. Like I said, I'm easy to find if you need to hit me up. And until next time, good night.